IDS 302, welcome. Seasoned veterans of IDS 301. I'm Michael Fair. I'm going to be your host for the next 7.5 weeks. Let's get into it. Hope you're living the dream like I am. Currently sitting in Scottsdale here. I don't know if you can hear the reggae in the background, but I enjoy traveling around. A little bit about me. I think I have 80 students in this class. I think 20 or 30 of you had me for 301. Welcome back. You know me. You know the crazy parts, right? So, and the ones that don't, hopefully, will mesh pretty well, right? Okay. Um, I travel around a lot. I actually live in my Jeep. She's parked out back there, and I enjoy a nomadic lifestyle because I have my two sons. One's 28 with a job and life, and the other one, he graduated from ASU Cronkite. And my youngest son is 19, and he's at ASU Barrett, and a history major, living at the dorm. So dad's free to wander the earth, which I do. And I love teaching online. I'll be teaching face to face in the spring on Tempe campus because there's no better place to be than Arizona from January to April. And even right now, it's pretty nice. So I've done a lot of things. I've done anything. You name it. I used to have my goal, I could connect with every single student of mine somehow. Okay. I don't care if you're a single parent, that's me. If you're a non-traditional adult student, that was me. Okay. If you want to be an artist, have been an artist, filmmaker, photographer, selling your art, that was me. If you're in a chain of command position, hierarchy, that was me. If you're into sales and business, that was me. Okay. And I've done a lot of that. I've been a $5 million a year revenue producer in technology. I still do a little on the side. I've been a sergeant for Milwaukee County and an officer for Maricopa County in the jail system. Have been an artist, freelance photographer in West Africa, Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Haiti border. I have sold my art at certain venues and festivals, and I was the featured artist at Juneteenth Day here in Phoenix a couple of years. I worked in the resettled refugee community extensively, worked with Bono's 1.org, Amnesty International. I was in Africa with Stevie Wonder. Like I said, law enforcement, sales, management, grunt work. I've been a migrant worker, a little bit of everything. So I always can relate to any of my students, whether you're country mouse, city mouse, been there, done that, love it, support you 100%. Okay. So you're in this weird thing called interdisciplinary studies. You already been through 301, so you kind of know the concept is difficult, like grasping water, what do you got, right? But those of you who know me know what my feelings are about it. We'll get into that too. All right. So I try to be accessible. Obviously, I don't have any office hours, and frankly, a lot of you aren't in Arizona, so you don't care. So, um, but I do have hours you can call me. That number on the syllabus is my cell phone number. Uh, Please use it wisely. Do not cold call me. I'd appreciate if you didn't cold call me. I'd appreciate if you give me a heads up first. Even text messages I'm not thrilled about. So send me an email. I answer those almost immediately, as those of you who had me can attest to. Try to get to those. Okay. We can do phone calls or conversations, whatever is comfortable with you. I'm fine. I can even meet you on campus if you're here and I'm here at the same time. Okay. Let's talk about, hey, Starbucks. See that? I support you. If you're a barista at Starbucks, thumbs up. Done a number of them, and of course, going around the country and things to different Starbucks and saying hi to people, and I'm waiting for my coffee, and I ask them if they're in the the ASU, the program, barista, Starbucks barista, and they usually say, security, can we get this homeless guy out of here? And then I know they don't believe me, half of them. Oh, I teach at ASU, but I do get away with it certainly. All right, so. Let's get into some of the bad news policies. Those of you who had me before, the due date policy. Now, the funny thing is, if you go to ratemyprofessors.com or whatever .org, I don't know. It's hilarious because you either think I'm the greatest at ASU or the damn worst, and there's not a lot of in between there. Okay, some of the things that frustrate my students, to be honest, is my due date schedule is fairly variable. Okay, everybody wants things to end on Saturday or Sunday, nice and organized. That's not the way it is here. That's the reality. Welcome to the real world, as they say. You're in the real world. I'm not going to say you're not, right? The due dates are staggered. But they are chronologically set up that way for a purpose. That is so you do things in the right order, all right? Because if you wait till Sunday to do everything, it's just like bam. George Carlin once said, the reason that Mother Nature gave us concept of time was to prevent everything from happening at once. All right. So I'm doing that too. I'm giving you concept of time. All right. Now, if I do change a due date, and I have been known to do that, and that drives people crazy, I never, ever, ever, never, never, never have changed the due date to make it sooner. It's always to push it back. Okay. Do not expect me to do that. Do not ask me to do that. Okay. I know what's going on and I can handle that. All right. But if I do sense that I want somebody to have more time, you guys have more time and stuff, I will push back a little bit. Push it back. All right. People don't like that. They think, oh, it's just, I need more organization in my life, you know. So I'm sorry about that. That's life. Now, the late policy is due dates before midnight on the due date. Do not try to upload at 11:55 or 11:50. It won't work. If it is stamped midnight or later and it's late, it's late. Okay, that makes so many people mad. But you know what? My logic is this. Okay, my deadline is 11:59. You know that going in. So if you upload it at midnight, and that's when it timestamps, you can start uploading at 11:45. If the timestamp's 12 midnight, it's late. Okay, there's no because if I give you late 12 o'clock, what about 12:01? What about 12:03? Why shouldn't I give them? Why shouldn't I give 3 a.m.? I'm sleeping anyways, right? And then where does it end, that sliding scale? Think about it from those terms. There's got to be a definitive timestamp. Adhere to it, you're fine. If it go over, it's not the end of the world, okay? It really isn't. But you know that. Um, okay, 10% per day for 5 days. Okay, that's what you get on this one. 10, because there's a lot of work to do in this course. I'm sorry you signed up for it, but man, it's gonna be like joining the army. 10% a day for 5 days, and then it shuts off. Can't even get back into it to the assignment. It's gone. Okay, remember that. Stay with it. Okay. The only excuses that are, that'll get through are if ASU documents a outage, global or outage or outage on our end. Okay, so whether you're staying at a hotel, whether you're on a trip and you don't have Wi-Fi, whatever, that's it's on you. Okay, I'm sorry, but it is. All right. If you have a medical issue, you got to send it to me, send me some documentation. But for the most part, it's going to have to be something that prevented you from participating in an online course that has no meeting times. Okay, so it's a real rough one as well. But having said that, I am a humanitarian. Okay, but I don't want to be a pushover. There's a fine line between those two things. Okay, we have a finite amount of time to get this course done. We have 7.5 weeks approximately. A 3 credit course is signed up to. I mean, it's considered 9 hours per week. Over a 15-week semester, that's 135 hours. Okay, we're doing that in 7.5 weeks. So your time doesn't cut. You're just compressing it. All right. So if you think that you're working 15 to 20 hours on this class a week, and you think that's crazy, no, that's right. Okay. So if you think you get away with working on this for 9 or 10, no, that's the 15-week version. I'm teaching that in spring. You're on the 7.5, it's twice the work in half the time, or it's the same amount of work half the time, right? Consider that when you're getting overwhelmed, okay? All right, let's see. Now, the concept of Easter eggs. Some of you might have seen this already. Easter eggs. I use what I call Easter eggs to have you prove to me that you watched this video and that I can give you the 5 points for every video we do. So what we're going to do is, okay, here's my advice. I'm sorry I'm doing this. It's going to offend a lot of people, but I teach online. I get away with it. All right, so Easter eggs. You send them to me in email. Just email them to me. Here are the Easter eggs. Hey. And actually, no, don't say hey. I'll give you my one pet peeve. All right. I'm either Professor Fair or Mr. Fair. Um, stay away from hey. Stay away from hey Michael or the dreaded hey Mike. It's gonna freaks me out because that's like Mike is like my mom and maybe my ex. I don't know, but still. So just kind of let's keep that relationship professional. As you can see, I'm fairly informal. Look what I'm looking at. But I do have that formal relationship with my students, and I appreciate that. But I know when we can have fun too, right? So, um, having said that, uh, Easter egg number one, as many of you, my old students, know this. Easter egg number one is what? IDS, which we know is interdisciplinary studies. IDS equals, that's right, you said it, integration. IDS equals integration. Easter egg number one, normally I'm not going to repeat them. You need to catch them, otherwise you're going to suffer through this whole video again. That's on you. All right. Sorry if I'm talking too fast. The first video, by the way, is always longer because I got a lot of things to talk about at the start, right? So, um, let's talk about what do you want to talk about? It's your turn. No. Okay. We did ideas. Okay, so let's go right into module one. All right, I'm going to put these videos out. Well, let's go to module zero, okay? Because there's a module zero, as many of you know. What we have in this course is module zero. Welcome to IDS 302, interdisciplinary inquiry skills. Some of the things in there, I've got a page for the IDS processes of Repko, Newell, and Klein. They are some of the main speakers on this issue, on this focus studies. And we're going to refer to those here and they're there for you as a resource. There's also a page for Purdue OWL APA format. We're an APA format class. If you have a different format you're more comfortable with, you need to let me know beforehand and I'll work with you on that, okay? But we're an APA format, all right? Which is, Times New Roman, 12, point font, double line spacing, whatever, we know what it is. We'll get to the formatting later, what really, really matters in academic writing, okay? All right, there's a syllabus quiz. Just gave you one of the answers. Send me those 5 questions, answer them, and I'll give you 5 points if you did them right, 1 point apiece. There's an academic integrity agreement. Some of you might have seen that already because you're in Canvas. You need to just sign that digitally, and you can move on in the class, okay? So now we go to Module 1 and talk about what's in there, okay? There's an overview for Module 1, and that is our objectives. I like to talk about our learning objectives for each module so you know we're on track to do what we came here to do, okay? So, by the end of this module, students will be able to define interdisciplinary research, explore what is meant by research, begin to identify a topic, and introduce yourself to the class, okay? That's our objectives. Next page on that, let's go to the instructor video. You're going to send me the 5 points by email. There's nothing to submit. Just email them to me. I'll email back, say, thanks for viewing, 5 points. You got it? Great. That's onward, right? Okay. Now we get to the learning materials page. In this course, it's pretty excessive. We're going to be doing research in this class, okay? And we're going to learn what real research is and what it's not. We're going to do research. And this is something I want to touch on because I've had past students evaluate, not a lot of them, of course, 1 or 2, that said, man, why do I got to do research? It said, this is dumb. I'm never going to do research again as long as I live. I don't know how this helps me in my job or whatever, career. And to that I say poppycock. No, to that I say it's good to know research. Why? Because we're faced with research every day. Research is knowledge, accumulation of knowledge, particular fields, right? We got this thing that's just appeared the last couple of years or so, a few years ago, called fake news, right? So that's a concept that we're hearing about, right? But what the hell is it, right? It's what anybody ever decides it is, I guess. If it doesn't agree with your own ideology, it's fake. So there are, there's facts, there's truth, there's, interpretations of those things, I'm sure. But research in terms of how it accumulates knowledge in the scientific method is how things grow, how we expand. How, when I was a kid, we didn't know squat compared to what we know now about X, Y, Z. However, in the 70s and the 60s, we knew a lot more than they knew in the 20s and 30s about a lot of things, right? I mean, and and obviously that's how things go, evolve. But where does this knowledge come from? It comes from research and accumulation, okay? All right. And when I say facts and truth, I'm not gonna, overemphasize those with hyperbole because, yes, when it comes to research scientific method, what the data shows you and you interpret the data doesn't mean that it's an absolute truth. I mean, just look at the planet Pluto or the what is it, a rock, Pluto. It's been a planet and not planet like 6 times in my life, okay? But it's pretty much the same set of facts. It might be how they're interpreted, how we look at things relative to something else. So research is a continuing process. Some scientists will look at old research and try to prove it wrong based on new technology and things. So we're going to talk about all that. But this learning material, so there's a lot to read in this. Learning materials. That's this page here. So the textbook. I forgot mine. I brought the wrong one, so I have to go down to my storage and make sure I have it. Not the most exciting reading, I'll tell you that, but there's good stuff in there. You're going to be intimidated by looking at it probably, but it's going to give you an idea. You're going to know so much that you didn't know when you started this class, most of you. Because for some students, let's face it, research is what we had in high school. We had, hey, research, let me back up. Research is, I'm going to buy a new car. I'm going to research the hell out of that. I'm going to research a trip. I'm going to do this. And yeah, we can call it that. That's what we use in, the street lingo is research. That's what we call it. That's fine. Or in high school, we research, teacher says, give me a research paper on the Titanic, and so you go out there and you look at Titanic and you read about shipping lanes and icebergs and strength of steel and weather conditions and all this stuff. And you put it together and you say, here's my research paper on the Titanic. Okay. Well, at this level, when you're up in university, you got a chip in the game now. That ain't research. That's not. That's a report. That's a compilation of information that you just did about the Titanic. University level research, that's different. That's about discovery, innovation, adding to the body of knowledge in that field. However, incrementally, you could be adding a teaspoon in the ocean of knowledge in your field, but you're adding. Okay. You're not just borrowing. Okay. I explained that there's like 2 different kinds of research I can generally describe. Let's just talk about a biologist. He wants to do research on, pond scum or something, and he goes to a pond and he drives down there and trudges through, gets some test tubes of pond scum, brings it back to the lab, and checks them out, looks at them, writes his paper, looks at all this stuff, and discovers new things about it, and presents his paper for publishing, for peer review. We'll get into that, publishing, and there's his research. Now, we have another biologist who's researching, and she goes down to the thing, but she says, you know what? She doesn't go down to the pond. She goes to the research lab and the research library, and she looks up data on all kinds of pond scum from around the world. She takes that data and puts it together. But unlike the Titanic analogy metaphor, she takes that data and finds new things about it, about existing data, discovers something new. Okay, both of those are research. Okay, we're going to be probably doing more of this and not this. Okay, I prefer your experience of discovering something new that's not already down there before. Is it harder? Yes, but is it more valuable? Yes, but we'll get this. We'll figure it out. So now let's go to this reading again. We got the reading, chapters 1 and 2, 56 pages about that. Then you've got a reading to do, the conclusion of Klein's Integrative Core. Okay, not the best copy, and frankly, it's, let's see if I have the amount of pages, about 15 pages on that. But she's going to talk about Klein's Integrative Core, which is part of an integrative process in interdisciplinary studies. We're going to talk a lot about integration and interdisciplinary. And while they are exchangeable, pretty much, they mean different things. Okay, interdisciplinary means like in our academic setting, we're doing this in disciplines, and it's interdisciplinary, and we're integrating and we're merging things and ideas, and we're not using disciplinary boundaries. While integration is more or less the process. What we're trying to do is integrate. Integration is the process. So integrative studies can be a study of processes that we integrate. Okay, many academics use personal, professional, academic in their integration. Okay, I kind of use that in my life. Okay, I integrate my professional with my business, with my academics, and it's all kind of rolled into one. Interdisciplinarians, that when you come into the field, they like to use terms like, oh, I'm a jack of all trades, so I'm going to do this interdisciplinary. I'm jack of all trades. Well, yeah, that's kind of like IDS light. It's not really that, but I get why you'd say that, okay? But hopefully you'll get a little better definition as we move along. All right, so you're going to read this about the integrative core. There are some diagrams on here, so it's not really like 15 intense pages. All right. All right. So then after that, I want you to read about this IRB. It's the Ethical Standards Board. I mean, it's a must read, all right? Because projects which involve human subjects they need to be reviewed by the IRB if certain conditions exist, all right? We don't have time to get approval. Therefore, you're going to have to stay away from any of these subjects, topics, conditions that are in this section, okay? Because we're mainly talking about vulnerable populations, topics, subjects, sensitive subjects, topics, and minimal risk things. So looking at that, it's very important you know that so that when your topic comes back at me, I got to shoot it down if you haven't considered this IRB ethical standards. It's not that you couldn't do the research. Remember this. It's not that you couldn't do it. It's just that we have a 7.5 week class, and I think that board meets every 6 to 12 weeks. Obviously, the math doesn't work there, so we can't do it. So let's move on, right? So now there's a section called enrichment here on the same page, and you look at some articles here, 2 articles, citation by citation, new maps chart, and I want you to. This just helps you conceptualize maps of citation. It's not a new article, neither of these are, but it's interesting how this university worked on mapping research. Where's an example of it? Come on, there. And you'll see this, like there's biology and all they went by citations, and they've got a lot of different, you'll see it yourself, but it's interesting how they conceptualize it visually, instead of just telling you that so much about biology has to do with statistics and then economics and sociology. Okay, so it's an interesting article. Then also I want you to look at, I think it's something's happening here, right? Let's see. Yeah, okay. So this article, Thomas Friedman, it's 2011. For me, that was yesterday. For you, that might have been half a life ago. I'm sorry. But they're talking about there's something happening here called the Great Disruption. And it's a way that our knowledge has gone. And he articulates how things have changed in terms of a big shift in the way ideas flow, innovation comes. Very good, because you're in a field. You chose this where you're going to be a big thinker in this. This is going to be your selling point. When you go off and you start a business, you run a business, you work in a business, you want to get promoted, you want to have value to your own career. You're going to look at these things as selling points, as how you think, as how you can integrate ideas, how you see a different picture. Whereas the sociologist or the economist will see this or this, you're going to see the picture and know how to put those things together, right? So read that article about the big shift. Okay, then we're going to get into some presentations. Now, the presentations are these Adobe presentations. They are like formatted like this. You may have seen them. If you don't get any sound, copy the link and put it to a new browser window. It should work fine. There is sound. They're just ones about, a reintroduction and an introduction just by research, but you're going to be reintroduced to the interdisciplinary pyramid. You guys remember that, right? You have interdisciplinary, cross-disciplinary, multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary. Remember how important that was, especially, it probably was in your final exam type of thing. It's important, right? All right. So go through that. And then the other one is choosing a topic of why doing research. I think the voices on these are Dr. Hirschhorn and our faculty. Okay. So you want to watch those. Not too long, but watch those. And then, all right. Okay, let's do Easter egg number 2. All right. I'm going to do this one. It's a familiar one I want you to remember. Ask your instructor. That's me. I want you to ask your instructor. I will swear, raise my right hand. I will not be snarky on my response to you. And if I am, I will say right in the email that I'm not trying to be snarky, but no. So don't always ask your instructor, okay? I'd rather have you do that, spin your wheels. There's a lot in this course that you might spin your wheels, okay? And whether or not I give you the right answer or not, I'll give you the answer that works for me. And if you know that, you can just move forward, right? Because you know that I said it's okay, all right? Cool. All right, so now we get into the discussion board after that. Now the discussion board is introduce yourself, okay? Many of you have done this in 301. I want you to tell me where you're from, where you're now, your concentrations, your hobbies, interests, careers, stuff like that. you know, what research topic you might be considering for this class. There's no wrong answer in this. It's pretty cool. As long as you do it, there shouldn't be a wrong answer. That's the good news, right? Okay, then for 5 points each, respond to 3 of your classmates and, help them start thinking about what they want to research, right? So that's, some of you have already started that. I'm here on Tuesday, by the way. Class starts in the morning. The videos you'll get from me are always fresh. They're always new. They're wherever I am, okay? Like last year I was in Italy, and Mount Vesuvius was like right there where that palm tree is, and I was so fun bragging on that, But I was teaching from Europe. It was fun. Also, you might get Mom's aluminum siding from Slinger, Wisconsin. Depends where I am, right? Okay. So we got the discussion board, and then let's go on to the next page, which is worksheet one. Worksheet one is another one of these. Do it. You probably won't get any wrong answers. Okay. It looks like this. It's a Word doc, right? And remember, Word doc only. Okay. I want you to, fill this out and repost it. Okay. Answer the prompts. Prompts are pretty simple. You shouldn't get it wrong. Um, and I think there's the self-explanatory there, the worksheet. All right, that's worth, is it 50 or 20? It's worth 20 points. Okay. Again, this entire class is worth like 1,040 points. It's a 1,000-point class, and I give you 35 points in videos, 7 videos, 5 points each, and a syllabus quiz, 5 points. That's 40 extra points. That's your extra credit. There's no extra credit besides that, so don't even ask, because I'm giving it to you right there. I'm giving you 4% extra credit built into the class. Okay. So having said that, when you're looking at your grades in the Canvas gradebook, you're going to see percentages and things and a total percentage. Just because you're running 87 and it says a B, if you're running to get 900 points, you're going to get an A. Okay, so 900 points is an A, but you got 1,040 to work with. You mathematicians out there can tell me. If it was a 1,000-point class and you needed 900, that means you need 90%, right? But if there's 1,040 points total and you get 900, to get an A, that means you only need like 87, 86 and a half, something like that percent, right? So remember that as we move forward. It's a points-based class. Don't miss anything. Don't miss the big stuff, okay? Um, and and you should be fine, okay? So let me get this thing wrapped up. 27 minutes. What are we going for, a record here? No, we're not. All right. So we'll get into some other things later. I'll let this stuff go. Send me your questions, comments, and concerns. There can only be one Easter egg, number 3, right? Forks up. Okay. I will talk to you soon. Have a good day. Welcome to class. Let's do this thing.